Before I get into all those details, we'll talk a little bit about just our funding sources, because that's always a general question that we get a lot, just because it is a little confusing. Head Start is primarily funded by the federal government, which started back in the 70s as the War on Poverty. So it is an income eligibility program, and it is set up to service low-income families. We operate at 100% of the poverty guidelines, so our income guidelines are rather low. We also receive funding from the Pennsylvania Department of Education, which is called HISAP, means Head Start Supplemental Assistance Program, and we collaborate with pre-K counts as well. In addition to that, we're always going after different grants for different initiatives, so that's where our funding kind of comes into play. Our program options are Head Start and Early Head Start. Within each of those programs, we have different options as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Head Start. Head Start is traditionally 3 to 5 year old. They would have to be 3 by their school district's kindergarten cutoff date. And we, 5 day a week, half-day sessions, morning and afternoon. We also have the full day, full year program, which is established for working parents. We utilize contracts with different daycares. They have to meet all of our Head Start requirements, be involved in the food program, but that's set up for parents who are working, and it provides them with all-day care. So if they have CCIS, which is what we encourage them to do, they would have to pay their copay. We would reimburse their copay for them. So it is free of charge. Once a family is Head Start eligible, they cannot incur any costs whatsoever. If it's a private pay, then we pay that daycare privately for the parent. That is a limited program. As it stands right now, we have 101 spots for full day, full year. And again, we are in certain daycares right now because they do meet our requirements. However, if a parent was interested in looking into another daycare, we would send our ed staff out to look at that daycare and see if it meets those basic requirements that we have. Then we also have the HISAP, which is the funding that comes from the state. What the provision was with that was that that money was allocated to Head Start, provided that Head Start collaborated with your local school districts. So in Lackawanna County, we are in the Scranton School District, and our Head Start children are just integrated in the classroom. So it's not a traditional Head Start center. There might be 4, 5, 10 Head Start children in that classroom. And we have itinerant staff that go out to those classrooms to make sure that those children get the same services they would get were they in a traditional Head Start center. And then we have the pre-K counts, which again, we collaborate with the school districts. In the handouts that we left over there, it does show all the school districts that we're involved with, all the daycares we're currently partnering with, and different agencies like the Wayne Family Center that we partner with for different program options. I'm going to let Stephanie talk a little bit about Early Head Start. Michelle did a very good job before, so it was a nice intro for us. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm new. Early Head Start is, we have a pregnant moms program, and then we also have a program from birth to age 3. If we have someone from the pregnant moms program, that child would automatically transition into the Early Head Start program. We have a home-based part, which we have a parent educator come into the home for an hour and a half once a week to work with the family. We use the parents as teachers curriculum, just as Michelle was discussing. We also have socialization twice a month for the families to come to. And then for the, there's a lot of things that we do in Early Head, so we do all kinds of developmental screenings, the ages and stages. We also do every other, as we get into the other components of our program, you'll see all of those are provided within the Early Head Start part of our program. And the pregnant moms, we use the Partners for Healthy Babies program, and it's the same with the visits once a week for an hour and a half. With that, we're a little bit, because there's not like a full year's worth of visits with the mom being pregnant, it's a little bit different in how many visits that we have to do, but sometimes it's a little bit less. And then we have the center-based option, the full day, full year option, which we just recently started within the last few years, and that is very similar to what Erin was talking about with the Head Start program, in that the parent has to be working at least 20 hours a week. It's the CCIS guidelines, 20 hours a week or 10 hours of work and 10 credits of school, or they could be a full-time student. We reimburse the copay if they do have CCIS. If they do not, we pay privately. We do have, our classrooms are within daycares. We have several daycares that we work with, and there are 8 children in each class, and we have 2 staff members in each classroom.
Yeah, the only thing that it is very similar to CCIS, except that for both full day, full year and the early Head Start program, we do accept families that are full-time students, which CCIS does not cover that. They have to have a combination of either work or work and school, so that is a little bit different for us. So we're going to go a little bit into our program components so you kind of get an idea of what Head Start actually does. One of the words that we hate to hear is that Head Start is a daycare. It is most certainly not a daycare. It is a very comprehensive program that not only engages children but engages families. And you know, our mission is that the healthier your families are, the healthier your children will be, and again, the healthier your community will be. So briefly, we'll go over each of those components. There are quite a few, so I am going to open it up to if you have questions per those topic areas to ask us now so we don't forget about it later on. First, I'll talk about what's called ERSA, and what it stands for is Eligibility, Recruitment, Selection, Enrollment, and Attendance, and that is kind of my area. Eligibility, one of the things I want to touch base on that's especially important for this group is that children who are in foster care are automatically eligible for Head Start and have a priority for enrollment in our program. The only thing we would need from children and youth is a letter stating that the child is in fact in foster care, who the foster parents are, and what they're allowed to sign off on and what you would need to sign off on. So foster children, again, categorically eligible and have a high priority in our enrollment. The other things that make a family categorically eligible would be if someone in the household is a recipient of SSI or cash assistance, or if they are currently homeless. So there are 4 things that make a family categorically eligible for our program, and then we wouldn't have to look at their income. They would automatically be eligible. Recruitment is a big thing, so hopefully this will help us to recruit. These little presentations that we do, we have to meet our funded enrollment. Whatever we're funded for from the federal, the state, we have to meet that and maintain that at all times. In addition to that, we are required to maintain a substantial waiting list. So as vacancies occur, we can roll a new family and a new child right into the program. Our selection criteria is established by our administrative staff and then has to be approved by Policy Council and our Board of Directors, which are our governing bodies. Obviously, everything we're going to talk to you about is dictated to us in our performance standards. So the nice thing about Head Start is that they have these wonderful performance standards. The difficult thing is that everything is locally designed. So we could stand here and tell you how we do things. Luzerne County does them differently, but they all have to match those basic criteria. So our selection criteria is established, and basically what that does is that dictates to us who the next child is that has to go into a spot. So we don't get to say, well, that one's really cute, so let's put him in. We actually have to go based on that. So for example, in a Head Start classroom, 4-year-olds get priority because it's their last year of eligibility before they would have to transition into kindergarten. Once they are age eligible for kindergarten, we can no longer serve them. The only time that we do serve children that are age eligible for kindergarten is when it comes out of a recommendation on their IEP, that they're not ready to go to kindergarten, and that team decides that the better placement for that child would be to stay in a Head Start classroom for another year before going to kindergarten. Enrollment, again, we have to maintain that enrollment at all times, so we're constantly making rule changes, adding new children, adding new families. And then attendance, we have to maintain 85% attendance. It's a taxpayer's program, so if you don't have children coming to school and benefiting from the services, then essentially we're wasting those dollars per child. And that's why you have to have that waiting list. The attendance policy, you know, obviously the people who are not attending in most cases are the ones that need the program the most. So we do have some flexibility with, you know, establishing why they're missing so much school, and then in turn initiating support services to maybe address whatever the issue is that's preventing them from coming. So that's kind of ERSA in a nutshell. Does anybody have any questions on that? Good, okay. So then next thing we'll talk about is our education component. In the Head Start classrooms, we utilize what's called the creative curriculum. This I have to read from, so I apologize. It's an all-inclusive setting, and staff are responsible for doing child assessments, which include work sampling, ages and stages, and educational summaries and goals. Another part of our education component is transitioning, and the buzzword now for Head Start is school readiness. So encompassing our program goals into what our school readiness goals are, and engaging our families in that process, and also engaging the community in that process. So that transition and school readiness kind of tie right into one another. Any of those assessments that we do, provided parent signs a release, we do share that with other agencies. So I'm pretty sure Children and Youth has to do ages and stages, correct? So we have to do that within 45 days of them being enrolled with us. So if you have a child that's in one of our centers, if the parent signs a release, that, I mean, we have shared that with many Children and Youth Services, so this way we're not duplicating efforts.
Do you do the developmental as well as social emotional?
And then in early Head Start in the center-based option, we also use the creative curriculum. As Stephanie said before, the home-based option, we use parents as teachers, and pregnant moms as partners for healthy babies. The next component is our health component, which is probably one of the ones that we struggle the most with, because it means parents have to get their up-to-date physicals, their immunizations, dentals. These are all requirements of our program, and we're expected to make 100% of that, which is a really high expectation. So those are our requirements. The services that we offer, however, we do vision screenings, hearing, heights, weights, lead. I think that's it, right? And those are also done by our staff and then in collaboration with other agencies. For example, Marywood University works very well with our program, and they come in and do a lot of our hearing screenings. Then we also have the Career Technology Center in Lackawanna County that comes in and does the nursing department comes in and does our heights and weights. So each component works exclusively with different agencies that help get those services done, because they have to be done in 45 days. And it's 45 calendar days, so really it means like 25 days for us to do it. Do you have any questions on that? Okay. Our nutrition component, if there's one thing we all joke about at Head Start, is that we definitely eat. The kids eat, we eat. We're involved with the Child and Adult Food Care Program. Every child in the Head Start Center has snack and lunch provided, and our menus are developed by a registered dietitian. For our early Head Start families, for those fit days that we have, meals are provided for them as well. And for children that are in the school district, we make sure that, they get the cafeteria lunch, but it is covered by us through that CACFC. And of course, we make special dietary accommodations as needed, and one of the best things, I think, is we're required to serve things family style in our classroom. So there's nothing nicer than to see kids passing the bowls to their friends and using their spoons, and make sure you take the one you touch, you can't have the other one. But it's really good. It promotes them, working together. It's really nice. It's one of the nice things that we do that I don't think we promote a lot. I'll let Stephanie talk a little bit about social services, since that's her area now. I probably will interfere, but go ahead.
Family engagement is a new and up-and-coming initiative that we're working on. It's basically to not only provide the services that we provide to the children, but also to get the families involved through volunteering in an active way, through doing our family partnership agreements, which we do with each family. It's a goal-setting process. In developing those goals, we do our family needs assessment, which is basically a series of questions that we ask the parents, and we think it's a great way to establish rapport with the families. They open up to us about things that they need to work on, and I think a lot of people don't know that Head Start does this type of thing. We just picture it as a preschool program for the children. But we also work very much with the families. We have a family service worker in each classroom, and our parent educators and itinerant teachers work with the families as well in those environments. We do an intake on the family, as I know you guys do. when you first meet them, just, basic information on needs that they might have. And then we are always providing referrals and services to those families to help them. We have collaborative agreements, which we do with agencies. I'm sure we have one with all the different children and youth. And that's just an example. Each one of our family service workers does one twice a year, at least one. So we have them with a lot of community agencies. Basically, that what we're going to do for that agency and what they're going to do for us, and we try to help each other. 85% attendance, as Erin talked about before. We go by the 85% attendance guideline. We have an attendance policy with a series of letters that we send the parents. We also try to call if the parents aren't calling us to see what we could do as far as helping and the reason why the child might be out because attendance is so important.
Just to touch back on the collaborative agreements a little bit, it's supposed to be something that's mutually beneficial, but the nice thing that we've discovered is that by sending those family service workers out into the community, they're not only advocating for our program, but they're becoming familiar then with what's available in the community, and then they're able to appropriately refer families when they're in need. It's always nice to be able to say, hey, contact Erin at Head Start. That parent then feels more comfortable. So that is a big part of that piece. And it helps us when we establish goals with the families. We know where to send them to get the resources that they need. It is by no means something that we do for them. We're empowering them to do it themselves. So we'll lay out a plan with them for what they need to do, but they're the ones that are responsible. I like to say it's a hand up, not a hand out. So that's what we try to do with our families. Special needs mental health is another component of our program. I met with the special needs and mental health coordinators before I came up here, so I'm going to plug through this as best as I can. Special needs and mental health works collaboratively with parents and educational staff to identify, refer, and assess children. We have a number of collaborative agreements. Our special needs and mental health coordinators work diligently at maintaining that and making sure that all of the agencies that offer those services are aware of what we do and how we can collaborate. Wayne County, we do a lot with Wayne County Consortium, and we have, although our enrollment is 5 days a week, half-day sessions for children that are getting those services, maybe that it's only best that they come to us 1 day a week, and then the 4 days a week they're in the early intervention classroom. So we can adjust an enrollment for those children as long as it's established again in their IEP. We do speech, vision, hearing screenings. The ASQ, social emotional, and the mental health visits. In our Head Start centers, there are 2 mental health visits per year. So we have a mental health consultant come in. Parents provide what's called a parent input letter. And again, they have to approve up on all these screenings first, but they will submit a parent input letter. The mental health consultant then has the opportunity to review that before going to do the observation. And then once the observation is complete, then that mental health consultant will talk to the parent, give them different resources and referrals that they may need. And then we also have the helpline, which is for Head Start staff and families on Wednesdays from 9 to 11.
Early Head Start also has that the mental health consultant comes to what we call Fit Day, Families of Infants and Toddlers Day. When the parents are there, they fill out the parent input letter prior to the Fit Day, and then the mental health consultant is there, and they can meet with her if they would like to speak with her about anything.
Our parent involvement component, as Stephanie mentioned before, the Office of Head Start, we're never a stagnant program. They're always rolling out some sort of new initiative or a new way to do things. What the focus is coming, we've noticed, is on families. Children only do as well in life as the examples that are set for them by their parents, and that's Head Start's motto. You have successful parents, you'll have successful children. So there is a lot of emphasis being put now on family engagement. It's actually called family, parent, and community engagement. It's a whole new framework that they are rolling out to us. That being said, it really kind of takes the parent involvement component and the social services component and mesh them into one. So that's kind of the direction we're taking right now. Instead of involving parents by just getting them to come into the center to volunteer, you want to engage them to come into the center and volunteer with a purpose. For example, if they have a child who's a picky eater, have that parent come in and volunteer in the kitchen with our cook that's preparing the meals, and it's amazing what the kids eat in the centers that I wish my children would eat at home, but, so it helps the parent develop menus. Our registered dietitian, Ann McKenna, will also work with families if that's something that's a concern of them, is the nutrition in the home. She has really fun, creative recipes that you sneak all that good stuff in there and the kids don't even know. So we want to bring the parents into the program, not just to come into the center and volunteer and spend the day with their child, but to benefit from it, to learn from the staff who are modeling appropriate, behavior management, learn from, the cook who's preparing the meal. So it's really pushing us in a direction where a lot of the things we do, it's kind of just plugging it into this new framework. And again, looking at outcomes, which I'm sure all of you are aware of. Everything is data-driven nowadays. So this is another way where we're going to be obtaining data with our families to show progression. And then, everybody uses that to lobby, right? So transportation has been something that has unfortunately been scaled down over the years for us. Transportation is not something that we are mandated to offer. We do offer it, and it is available to families in some areas, but this area happens to be one of those areas where we really struggle because you are so stretched out. We have parents that end up pulling their child from the program because they can't get to the bus stop, which is a 20-minute ride for them just to get to that. So we are kind of stretched in that we do the best we can by setting up community bus stops, but it is a little more difficult in these more rural areas. We do offer transportation when the classrooms have field trips. We provide that transportation. And then for families who are having difficulty getting to appointments for their medical or their dental, that we're hounding them that we need that information. If they're having trouble getting to those places, we've provided bus passes. We try to link them up with different agencies that provide transportation in the community, or we have actually had them use a taxi service, and then we cover the cost of that. So we do the best we can with transportation. There's two last things that we'll talk about before we'll wrap it up, because I think we're going over our time a little. But right now, as I said, everything is data-driven. So what we use now is called COPA. It stands for Child Outcome and Planning Assessment, and that's where all of our information is kept, all of our reports are generated from, all of our outcomes are established. And again, that's information as a community. When we do our community assessments, we share that information with other programs that are also doing assessments on their communities. The last thing is what our current program initiatives are, just in case you happen to hear any of it or see any of our fun flyers around. Right now we're in what's called an asset building initiative. It actually rolled out at the same time that the state of Pennsylvania decided they were going to implement asset testing back in the county assistance offices. So it kind of hit us at a bad time. However, we were able to secure a grant with PNC. We were selected as a pilot program, ourselves and Pittsburgh, to do Building a Financial Future. And what that is we offer classes that are taught by PNC representatives, and we've also partnered with Consumer Credit Counseling Services to offer basic classes to our parents about financial topics. It starts with basic budgeting, then the next class was banking basics, debt and credit, smart borrowing, and raising money smart kids. We are in the second year of our grant. It is a 2-year grant, although I am told that we might be getting it again, which is great because it really is a wonderful program for the parents. We partnered with United Way to establish Vita sites for them to have their taxes prepared through them. And then we're hoping to partner with them to do the IDA accounts for our parents as well. So there's a lot of exciting things coming with that. Another initiative that we're currently in right now is called the Cavity Free Kids. DentaQuest issued a grant to, actually it was a Massachusetts Head Start program, who then handpicked our program to pilot it, which was nice. And it's a great curriculum. Our staff have been trained in it, and it promotes, again, cavity-free kids. So it's fun. We just had a center the other day up in New Milford. The teacher was the patient, and all the kids were the dentist. So it was fun to see them act that out. And then the other initiative, which is always a big initiative with us, it has been for years, is the Fatherhood Initiative. What we've implemented are called fudge days, which stand for fathers, uncles, dads, grandfathers, etc., where we have a day a month where the center does specific activities around male involvement. Because our families are so diverse and blended, you know, not everybody has a dad to come in. So grandpas come in, uncles come in, brothers come in, neighbors come in. So it's really nice, and it's great to see the kids. It's amazing when a man walks into a center versus all the women that they see all the time. They flock like right to them. So it's great. It's a really fun thing to do, and that's going to increase, I think, as time goes on. That initiative. I guess that's it. I mean, I kind of blew through everything really fast. Sorry.
Our administrative office is located at 321 Spruce Street in Scranton. Our phone number is 963-6633, and we provided 3 pamphlets, one for early Head Start, one for our Head Start programs, and one for our Head Start full day, full year programs, and they're over on the table there.
The only thing that's not correct is on the Head Start brochure. Let me just double check. It does still say for information to contact Ann Linnedy. She is now our acting program director, so it would be me that you would contact, but it's still the same phone number, just not that email address. So please feel free to call us with any questions. I'm sure you guys